Poor Pike. Poor Batel. It's like I said before, love hurts. But before we can even begin to talk about love lost in this episode and ultimately this episode's significance in the life of Captain Christopher Pike, we must discuss the fact that Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonzo Myers thought this might be the end of Strange New Worlds.
Get to season 4.
All right.
In a Screen Rant interview, Myers confirmed that when this episode was originally written, it could have been the series finale. And with both the combined WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes that delayed filming of season 3 for 7 months, along with Discovery and Lower Decks' 5th and final seasons being announced and Picard coming to an end, in addition to the Paramount Global merger with Skydance Media that was in the works at the time, it's not hard to see that there would have been worries that this could have been the last season of Strange New Worlds. And if said showrunners didn't create any more episodes, they wanted to end this show with some semblance of finality, which I think they managed to do successfully while also providing a fresh start for stories going forward. We know that Captain Christopher Pike's future has been predestined, a fate that was painfully displayed in the original series episode, The Menagerie, and also foretold in Star Trek Discovery's Season 2 episode, Through the Valley of Shadows. And since we started the journey of Strange New Worlds on the premise of Pike navigating, living out life, knowing what's ahead, even pondering the idea of using his knowledge of the future to avoid tragic events entirely, it would only make sense that if the show were to end at season 3, we would need some type of closure for the character. And by the end of New Life and New Civilizations, we find that as much as love hurts, and wherever fate may lead us, the true adventure lies in the exploration of the unknown moments that lead us there. Even though most of us won't get to play out a fully realized alt reality brought to life by an all-powerful girlfriend, or an ancient alien buoy for that matter. When an ancient alien evil resurfaces, Pike faces a life-altering choice to stop it. That ancient evil, the Vezda. It's always interesting when the idea of true evil is explored in the franchise, which works great when the bounds of a proposed evil species is truly explored and not just a means to get the audience into the story quickly. But here, with the Vezda, which literally means evil to the Macroom people on Vadia 9, it felt more like the latter, though in some ways an honest attempt was made to ground the species. We learned the Vezda were an extremely ancient species of malevolent extra-dimensional life forms capable of taking over humanoid bodies. We also learned these beings may have been brought to our dimension by a highly advanced spacefaring civilization who were thought to be exploring immortality, who have strongly been implied to have been the early Q.
Spotted them digging in the dirt in the old home world.
And while the Vezda have been imprisoned on Vadia 9, on some worlds, they were worshipped as gods. The show doesn't take time to give us much more. I think we, the audience, needed a bit more to hang on to, and the lack of a truly fleshed out backstory, and even the lack of more references to the Vezda over the course of the season, really hurt this story. New Life and New Civilizations explores the idea that when a species faces evil, they somehow retain a genetic disposition to continue to fight said evil, and somehow through Captain Patel's merged DNA with that of the Gorn, along with her infused Illyrian blood by way of a genetic suit made real by the Chimera treatment, has in some way given Batel some genetic super disposition against ancient evil, as her ancestors once possessed. I personally would like to know more about the human and Gorn run-ins with the Vezda in the past. Furthermore, Chapel makes a connection between Patel's DNA and that of the Warden, aka the Beholder statue on Vadia 9, instantly letting us know that, like the fate of Captain Christopher Pike, Captain Marie Patel's fate is also written in stone, quite literally, serving as the Centurion protector of the galaxy from the ancient evil known as the Vezda. Which take us to the quote-unquote showdown on Vadia 9, which honestly wasn't much of a showdown. Vezda Gamble has more bark than bite, as Batel quite easily disposes of him and takes her place as the warden over this Vezda prison, but not before something rather miraculous happens. Part of what makes Pike such a tragic character is the fact that we know what fate lies before him. Though in some ways we know by way of the Telosians, he does get to live out his life happily on Talos 4 with Vina and the amazing mental projections of the Telosian people. But we know that Pike doesn't know what's on the other side of his accident, making the journey to that moment all more tragic for the character. But with Batel's destiny being predetermined in a similar fashion as a human Gorn Illyrian hybrid made to protect the universe from a formidable ancient evil, she gives Pike the gift he never expected. Through Captain Patel's newfound powers, Pike and Batel are able to, in what I believe, is to really truly live out their lives in this alt reality, which in some ways alleviates the pain of both of their fates. In said alt reality, they go back to their cabin on Earth and start a family where they have a daughter. Pike lives through what he thought would have been the end of life as he knows it and returns from what would have been his tragic accident. Pike gets to see his would-be daughter, Julia, grow up and find love in Admiral April's son, Elijah. He even gets to see the end of Batel's life before the reality is broken. It's clear that an enormous weight has been lifted from Pike's shoulders, seemingly now approaching life in a more open and carefree manner, looking forward to the unknown. And then there's Batel, who truly seemed to embrace her fate, not only delivering this gift to Pike, but also giving this one last gift to herself as she embraces her destiny. So let's talk about the bad. And honestly, I don't have a lot of bad to say about this episode, other than the aforementioned lack of explanation of the Vezda, which wasn't a true deal breaker, but it did leave a bit to be desired that I'm sure will be fleshed out in some future beta canon. Also, I have to mention that one particularly bad scene on Skygowan, where Mbinga and Number One pull off a grift they mentioned they executed before on Rigel. While I like the reference to a prior mission, the terrible execution of the grift in broad freaking daylight among the townspeople of Skygowan seemed clumsy at best. Lastly, I think they could have foreshadowed the entire ley lines idea a bit better. It was very important to the plot of this episode on getting back to Vadia 9. It just felt all a little bit too matter-of-factly. Poor Pike. Poor Batel. Love hurts. It's obvious love and relationships played a huge factor in the overall season, but maybe it was a type of catharsis that was needed for our characters to truly explore new life and new civilizations going forward. Please like and subscribe and leave comments below.
Can I say that like shut up Wesley? I can just go shut up Clarence?